All right, proportion. A proportion is any fraction that is equal to another fraction, or two fractions that equal each other. The steps for solving, you're going to cross and multiply on proportions. You're going to distribute if it's necessary, combine like terms, and then use inverse operations to isolate the variable.
So the first thing I noticed about number 1 is the fact that it's a proportion is because it's a fraction that is set equal to a fraction. That's the definition of a proportion. And when we're looking at a fraction equal to a fraction, my first thing I should think is cross multiplication. Again, that's cross multiply. So what that means is you're going to multiply the number on the top by the number in the bottom of each fraction. So we're going to get 7 times negative 5. And we're also going to have 6 times x. And of course, I'm setting my proportions equal to each other. 7 times negative 5 is negative 35. 6 times x is 6x. And we have our equal sign in the middle. Our last step is to get the variable by itself, so we divide by 6 on both sides. Since it doesn't divide nicely, our final answer is negative 35 over 6. That's what x equals. Problem number 2 is just like problem number 1, cross multiply. We're going to have 11 times x, and that's going to also have 5 times 2, and we're setting them equal. 11 times x is 11x. 5 times 2 is 10, with an equal sign in the middle. Our last step is to divide both sides by 11. Since 10 does not divide by 11 nicely, we leave our answer as 10 over 11. Problem number 3 is slightly different because we have a 2-term expression with x plus 5. So I'm going to go ahead and put parentheses around that because it reminds me what I'm supposed to do when I actually cross multiply. I cross multiply. You get 8 times the quantity x plus 5. And you get 7 times negative 3x. And of course, we're setting those values equal. The reason why we put those parentheses is it reminds us we need to distribute the 8 to both terms inside the parentheses. So you get 8x plus 40. And that's equal 7 times negative 3x is negative 21x. We are trying to get our x term by ourselves. So we identify our variables, 8x and negative 21x. But negative 21x is already by itself. So I'm actually going to just pick on this 8x so I can move my x's away from that constant 40. So I simplify. My 8x's cancel. 40 equals negative 29x. We divide both sides by negative 29. Which does not come out nicely. So our final answer is x equals 40 over negative 29. Problem number 4 also has a 2-term expression. We're going to put parentheses around because that reminds me that I'm going to need to distribute when I multiply that out. 4x times 7 is on the other side of the equal sign. Distribute that 3x minus 9, and that equals 4 times 7, which is 28, and then of course they have that x to go along for the ride. We look at our x terms. In this case, our little guy is 3x, so we're going to subtract it on both sides. Negative 9 equals 25x, and our last step is to divide both sides by 25. Since 9 does not divide by 25 nicely, our final answer is negative 9 over 25 for x. Problem number 5 also has a 2-term expression, so I'm going to put parentheses around it. I'm going to multiply 3 times 3x, and that's going to be equal to x minus 4 times 5. So that's 5 times x minus 4. I distribute, and I get 5x minus 20. Make sure you distribute it to both terms. And 3 times 3x is 9x. Focusing on my variable terms, which are on opposite sides, I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides. You get 4x equals negative 20. Our last step is to divide both sides by 4. A positive divided by a negative is a negative. 20 divided by 4 is 5. X equals negative 5.
You've completed the notes for this lesson, so go ahead and work on the practice problems to check for your understanding. Thank you for being awesome.